you were one of the people who had expressed skepticism and doubt about the rampage to $1 trillion expense on the net zero side. Now, interestingly enough, isn't it fascinating that we talked about the notion that it was fear of cancellation that would stop people from doing what you did, but the consequence for you, indirect though it may be, is that you're now the leader of the Conservative Party, which is, that wasn't exactly an obvious outcome, and yet it happened. And, one of the things we haven't talked about, so let's close with this. Like, why in the world are you the leader? How the hell did that happen? And why do you think why is that a good thing? Why do you think you're a good leader? But also, why are you a leader that's good in comparison, let's say, as a choice, if the choice is Nigel Farage and the Reform Party, why should people who feel that they've been burned by the Conservative Party trust you and the party now?
So why should they trust me? Because they can look at my record. When the net zero debate was happening, you can see me on the screen literally questioning it. So you can trust because of what I have done before. So it's asking people to look at what I did when I had the chance. And it is because every point where I had a fight, I was quite often fighting for other people. Tackling extreme gender ideology, this was something that took hold, the social contagion across the West. And I fought despite a lot of personal attacks, a lot of threats of cancellation, and I broke through. So I'm not going to hide and not tell people the truth. It is because I am honest that they can trust me. But it is also because I like fixing things. I'm an engineer. I don't like seeing stuff that's broken and wondering who's coming by to deal with it. I like to deal with it. And I love this country. I love its institutions. I am a builder. I want us to build things. And the problem I have with other people on the right is that they're so angry. They want to destroy things. They don't have a plan for how to build things. They just say, well, we'll just do this and we'll tow boats back to France and we'll shoot the people who are coming there and then everything will be fine. You can't seriously think that that will work. These are people who've never been in the system. So I am a realist. I'm an honest realist. I know how to fix things. I have the experience, which, you were talking about the reform leader. He doesn't have that experience. He is more a media personality. He talks a lot. If we do not get Labour out because the right is split, we're going to have so much more of this. And we don't want a party that has never had to deal with these things in government before. There is a system that works. If you try and burn it down without knowing how to replace it, we'll be in trouble. And this is where my experience of other countries comes in. You look at the Arab Spring, for example. You look at revolutions across the world. This sort of rage, and we're going to have a revolution and we'll tear the establishment down, does not tend to end well. And this isn't saying that people have no right to be angry. Of course they have a right to be angry. I am furious about immigration. It's absolutely too high. There was a lot of carelessness. Who's coming into our country? The culture, the levels of integration are getting lower and lower. No one has a plan for integration. I'm going to work on one. That is what is different about me. If you just want someone who's going to be angry with you, then that's a totally different proposition. I'm not here to be angry with you. I feel your anger, but I am here to fix things. And that's the big difference between the two of us. Whether it's on net zero, whether it's on extreme ideology, whether it's on deregulation, whether it was fighting for women's rights, I am somebody who always makes sure that I speak on behalf of those who have no voice. That is what I see my job as. I do not understand this love of global summits and so on. I went to Davos as a Secretary of State. Ministers from all over the world tend to meet there because they're all there at the same time. And I can see why a lot of people are angry about it, because it looks like a closed room where decisions are being made. It's not really, it's more like a boring conference where people spend a lot of time preening. And I didn't enjoy it. But once you start seeing those things, you start to understand how people get influenced, how decisions are made. And I am quite immune to a lot of that. And that is what I want to bring to the leadership of this country. And we've got 4 more years, at least, of Labour. By the time they have finished, there's going to be a big mess to fix. And you're going to want people who understand it and who get it to clean up that mess. You're not going to want people who will just start thinking about it and learning on the job. And that's the offer.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that I really learned about you today that's striking is that combination of engineering and legal education. Now, I've worked with a lot of engineers, well, and a lot of lawyers for that matter. But one of the things that's very interesting about engineers, two things. First of all, they tend to be pretty truthful. I think that's partly their autistic proclivity, let's say. They don't have the social skills to lie. But it's also the fact that they actually have to build things that work, and they have to build them from the bottom up. And so the engineers I've worked with are very painstaking and very detail-oriented and less flashy and entrepreneurial than you might want if you want to be with someone truly exciting. But they do have to build systems that work. And if they make mistakes, the systems don't work. Right. And so the fact that you're an engineer by education and a lawyer, that's a really interesting combination because
I'm not a lawyer. I went to law school.
Sorry, that you went to law school. Right. That you have extensive legal training. Right. Okay. And so, all right. And so, well, I guess we could close. We're going to see each other at ARC, at the Alliance for Responsible Citizenship convention. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We'll get about 4,000 people there. And, we're trying to outline a visionary, classic liberal, conservative, policy set on the cultural side in particular, and so we'll have a chance to speak again.
And then we can talk about political Islam and how we manage to tackle those problems while having an integrated society. How we fix immigration, which has gone very wrong, and I have a plan. There's so much that we can dive into, but I think too many people have not done the foundational work, and they're just angry and they're just talking. We have a Labour government that is completely clueless, no plans. They've just accidentally found themselves where they are. But there's a way out, and I'm very optimistic about the future, especially for young people. And I think if I was to leave you with a thought, it is that I'm so in despair at how young people see the future. Because I remember when I was in my 20s, having that quarter-life crisis and wondering where my life was going. I never thought there was no opportunity. I just didn't know which way to go. And the young people today don't see that anymore. They don't go out, they're not drinking, they're not socializing the way they used to. They're just becoming different. And that worries me about the future. And it also means that they are more susceptible to a lot of bad ideas, both, what I call the woke left and the woke right. I've now started using the word woke. I never used to before. There's a woke left and a woke right, and they're going to those places because they're angry about migration and how it looks like it's taken opportunity away from them. They're angry because they think the world is unfair, intergenerational unfairness. We need to give young people the sort of optimism that we had when we were younger. Remember what it was like being 25. It was great. How can we take that away from people? And between COVID and high house prices and so on, there's so much that has created despair. And I remember having a conversation with Pierre Poilievre about this. He's my kindred spirit, by the way. I love him. He's fantastic. And, he is 6 months older than me. And we see these things in the same way. We have to give people hope. And that is really, I think, maybe the difference between me and the other party leaders, that I'm thinking very much about the future and giving people hope, not just about today or yesterday.